Hello and welcome to another Zero AD replay commentary. Today we've got Borg against FFM. So over here in the north we've got Borg as the Romans and FFM down in the south as the Ptolemies. So I think this is going to be interesting, and I do have some spoilers, but that was in the description of the replay. But we see some houses being built by FFM, and Borg, of course, building a storehouse and a farmstead, not actually going to building the houses right away, but instead choosing to build buildings related to resource gathering. Now, of course, FFM is not there yet. So the question becomes, who is going to get there first? Which play is going to be the better play? And here we see some camel archers getting produced. Is this going to be a camel archer spam? I don't know. But what I do know is that it's nice to see walruses in the game. Speaking of walruses, is there any culture in the game that actually would be in the same area as walrus? Well, I guess maybe the Britons. Just maybe. I don't know. Oh well. Let's just say that, well, the Romans went north to some degree with some exploration, but they didn't really go way up north. They went more into the Baltic. They had some naval expeditions into the Baltic. So I guess that's an interesting fact. But as always, very nice, these statues. These statues are very nice. And we've got our first house by Borg. Meanwhile, FFM is in the process of building the first storehouse. FFM has not built any storehouses yet, but has built several houses. So let's take a look at the resources. Here we see FFM is a little bit ahead on food, Borg on wood, and they're both about equal on other resources. So there hasn't been too big of a difference yet. Oh, now Borg is ahead on food. Oh. And look at that. Is this a rush? Are we seeing a rush here? 4 camel archers riding in, now riding out. What is going on? Who is going to take advantage of this fight? Oh, he's just sitting there. Uh-oh. Oh, it was a setup. Now he's attacking from the other direction as well. These walruses. No animation there, but I guess that's perhaps a later game feature. And are they linking up? Are the two forces linking up? What could be happening here? Oh, we see some Equus Romans. An Equus Romans. The cavalry is fighting. Is FFM trying to perhaps find a way to kill the women? Or is FFM attempting to harass? But it looks like Borg is definitely getting that APM going, reacting very well to the attacks and choosing to protect the civilians. But it looks like FFM has figured out what Borg is doing and is now attempting to perhaps attack. And now they're targeting the civilians. FFM really getting ahead there with a lot of these camel archers. The Nabatean camel archers. Nabatea is a part of Arabia. usually considered historically to be in the very northwest corner of Arabia, just on the edge of the Levant. I believe that's correct. If it is incorrect, please do correct me in the comments. Look at that. The skirmisher cavalry combo was effective to some degree in killing off some camels, but FFM is not easing up. FFM goes in there with more damage, more hits. FFM is... oh, there it goes. Now, what is FFM doing in the meantime? FFM still mostly houses. Perhaps this is a rush strat, but it looks like FFM is retreating, perhaps regrouping. Perhaps FFM might need to attempt a different method of attack, because FFM's method of attack, although being partially effective, was not fully effective. And let's actually take a look here at the current population, and we see that Borg is actually slightly up on population. And however, Borg does seem to have a few less resources. So the question is, what will FFM do? Will FFM go again with the camel archers, or will FFM try to pull together a perhaps a stronger army with heavy hitting melee units such as these Egyptian pikemen? Fun fact, out of the Ptolemean dynasty, very few of them actually knew how to speak in the language of the land, that is in Egyptian, or as some call it, Coptic. So they mostly spoke Greek. And we see a farmstead up here. Are there any unusual developments up north? Nope. Similar developments, but we do have an outpost up here, perhaps for, let's see Borg's range of vision, perhaps to, as an early warning system, in case we see some camel archers attack. But we do see that Borg has definitely gone all in on the cavalry. And here comes a walrus. Does do some damage, so don't get too rowdy with the walrus. And look at that, gathering some fresh meat out in the woodlands, because the walrus, of course, is very likely to be found close to water, since they actually have some mobility on land, but not actually very much, unsurprisingly, due to their flippers. Is it okay to call those flippers? I don't know. Perhaps they're called something else. But whatever the case is, they are edible. And the walrus tusks have historically been used as a type of ivory for arts and crafts, as today's society would say, for artistic purposes. Walrus tusk ivory. You can have a nice walrus tusk ivory chess set. But I don't know if that's legal nowadays. I don't know anything about what people are doing regarding conservation with walruses. Is walrus the correct term? Walruses? Because walrus is, of course, not based on Latin. So there's no point in using a Latin plural form. I don't know. I honestly don't know what the plural form of walrus is. Unless, in a strange twist of fate, they do use the Latin plural form, which wouldn't make any sense, but oh well. It is definitely a possibility.
DSC?
Okay. Let me just pause my recording because I'm dropping frames heavily. Okay. We'll see how good things are. Things seem to be fine now. For some reason I was dropping frames earlier. Maybe I just need to let the computer rest every once in a while. But look at that! That was a serious attack. I think I'm going to zoom out because I'm getting... yeah, I'm still dropping frames. Oh well. Oh well, sometimes you've got lag, sometimes you don't. Things happen, I guess. Maybe my computer is really busy with some process. And I do know that I don't have any viruses, so it's probably because I've got Chrome open. Google Chrome always eats the computer active memory. Let's center on them on the map. Are they trying to capture? Yep, they are attempting to capture. Borg has captured a building inside of FFM's territory. FFM is, however, fighting back with these camel archers. And it looks like Borg may be retreating. Or is it a trick to perhaps pull FFM into a fight in the woods? That may be a distinct possibility here. But it looks like FFM has ceased the pursuit. Unless he hasn't. Yes, he has ceased the pursuit. Now let's take a look at Borg's troops arriving back home. Doing a lot of fighting down there in the south. I think that's what you could call a close encounter. What happened here? If you know what I mean. That was not the best whistling of mine. Wished I had done it a little bit better. Oh well. We are seeing a town phase by Borg and a town phase by FFM. Now let's take a look at the resources. FFM is down on population. FFM down on metal. FFM down on stone. FFM down on wood. FFM down on food. FFM just down in general. So I guess this attack may have been devastating to FFM's economy. But I am seeing some goats gather at the Civic Center. And it looks like this seems to be FFM's plan for securing a long-term food source by simply repeatedly having goats. You know what there should be? There should be a a button for auto queuing, where maybe you click and you just auto queue something so that it keeps producing it. That would be perfect for sheep. Now, one might say, well, what's the advantage? Wouldn't that be a disadvantage, because then it would just eat all your resources? And you would be correct. So the trick would be to keep an eye on your resources and then just turn everything down when things get too much. And we see here a stunning surprise attack by Borg on FFM out of the Temple of Vesta. Vesta, a very important deity in Roman culture. And we've got some minor priests here. Pontifex Minor, the state priest. Vesta, the Temple of Vesta was attended by the Vestal virgins, and if they broke their vows, they would be buried alive. So, yeah. Guess that's an interesting situation to fall into. Not one I would personally enjoy, not at all. But fascinating nonetheless. Then we've got the Egyptians, not the Egyptians, the Ptolemies, who are an Egyptian dynasty that is Greek in origin, and they've got their... They had their own additions to Egyptian religion. For example, there's Serapis, or Osiris Apis, or Apis, Osiris Apis, Serapis, which was a god with a human head. So, because the Greeks were more into having human-headed gods rather than animal-headed gods. So Serapis became important. And there were holy bulls in the cult of Serapis and Apis. The Apis bull, which upon dying would be put in the Serapeum, which was a large temple dedicated to Serapis and Apis, and they were mummified. They mummified these big bulls and put them in huge sarcophagi. Just imagine this huge sarcophagus. It's got an entire bull inside of it. That has got to be expensive, if you ask me. But that's what happened. Yeah, mummification in Egypt went all the way into Roman times. So we've got some interesting... We've got an example of a mummy where on the outside it's got a portrait of the person who's mummified. So that's an interesting concept. And then, while initially people like to remove the organs and put them in the canopic jars, it became a fashion to remove the organs, mummify the organs, and then put them back inside the body, which I guess is interesting, but oh well. Oh no, my frames are dropping hard. And here we see plenty of guys shooting. If you had a couple of interruptions there, that's because I reset my Fraps recording so that it would be fresher and I'd have more frames per second. For some reason it gets tired. I don't know how that works. But nice here. Borg has put down a second civic center, and look at that, a defense tower to defend. And of course, FFM has his own temple now, as well as a nice field that has infinite food on it. Oh, and FFM has resigned. Borg has won. That was a relatively fast game. Relatively fast. And here we see the economy score. Borg definitely out-economied FFM and won the majority of the victories, the military victories that is. However, FFM somehow had more knowledge of the map. Building-wise, Borg definitely had less buildings, surprisingly to me. Probably because FFM had a lot of houses. So yeah, it's all in the houses here for FFM. Other than that, Borg was definitely ahead in everything else. Units-wise, the cavalry game was pretty heavy. So here we see that Borg's cavalry game somehow he was able to use good tactics to get the upper hand against FFM, causing FFM to lose some major engagements, causing FFM to also lose significant amounts of troops, giving Borg an advantage throughout a lot of the game. Resource-wise, FFM definitely had the advantage on food, but Borg had the advantage on everything else. Market-wise, no markets were built throughout the entire game, to the best of my knowledge. Miscellaneous, Borg apparently had some more farming, or found some berry bushes, and went heavier on the feminization, which may relate to Borg's higher economic score with having more women. The KD ratio, however, heavily in Borg's favor. Borg definitely had the tactical advantage in the fights. Borg using good tactics to send his soldiers in right to have a win in the end. Map exploration, of course, FFM at the forefront of that, and map control, Borg with a second civic center wins. Game time elapsed 17 minutes and 49 seconds. I'd say a quick game. Borg definitely acquired the advantage and then went with it. So, good job, Borg. FFM, better luck next time. Thank you all for watching. I hope this has been very interesting to you, and I will be seeing you all next time. Anavultus over and out.